Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1817. I'm your host, Mike Matthews. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I've got a microphone on Basil the Boxer in case he says something that we want to hear, because he's a dog and oh my dear, I got him some rabies shots yesterday, and I sing at the beginning of my podcast here at Cafe Anyway. What can you say? My name is Otay. Tay Swift. Mike Swift.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike Matthews. With illusions of grandeur or dander or something.
Mike's
I want to thank you
Daily
for checking out this podcast. Because you probably had some things to do. And you checked out this one, and I thank you. Lots of stuff in the news today, my friends, and I don't know. I don't want to talk about the news. I don't want to talk about New Zealand. Before all the craziness of last week, the best thing coming out of New Zealand was Crowded House. Something so strong could carry us away. And Neil Finn and all that. And now, unfortunately, it's gotten bad. Talking about the gun debate. Talking about people who were killed senselessly. Talking about putting online a killing spree where loved ones die. It's terrible. So, I don't really want to talk about it. You've heard about it ad infinitum. But yes, there were people, important people, that lost their lives that day. And I've been thinking a lot about loss lately. Someone that I work with lost his son recently due to drugs. It all stems back to drug abuse. And there was an interesting story that came out today about how there are these people that are...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Basically vampires. They extort people that are already hurt, that are already down, that are already trying to get over the drugs. And these rehabs, some of these rehabs don't even have doctors on call or on duty or on premises. And here, this is a disease. Drugs, it's a disease. Dealing with drugs is a disease. It's not something you can get over in a weekend. It's a lifelong struggle. And these crazy people that extort the already hurting. Hey, Basil. Basil's also very angry about and upset about this. There are people that, there's insurance money involved. That's why they get involved in this. And they'll give someone that's fighting drugs, hey, we'll give you a hotel room, a hotel stay. And you can, it's all on me. Oh, by the way, I'm getting your insurance check. Is that all right? So there's craziness involved with that. And I heard a story about that. I should never, ever do a podcast after I've listened to 2 hours of NPR. It's just not the thing. I get so like, Urgh. Well, one thing I heard on an NPR show called The World was about there's some game. I don't know if it's in Mexico or from Central America, South America, somewhere where they are speaking Espanol. There is a game that involves cards, and I don't know. It's a game I've never played. I'd like to play this game, actually. It sounded pretty interesting. But the cards apparently are very archaic now. And apparently Basil's not saying anything, so I'm going to turn his mic off. There. Now I'm a little more intimate. Because it's just me and this Mike Matthews and you. But yeah, so this game, apparently there's a millennial that's gotten a hold of this game, and he said, his name was like Jose. Oh my God, the cards involved with this game are really derogatory and offensive, and I don't like, my abuelita, she like plays this card game, but like, oh my God, like, it's so racist. And the woman is it's called the lady, but she should be called the feminist. And, like, there should be all kinds of things involved, like man buns. What is it called? The man buns. Man buns should be involved in this. What kind of cards are these? No, what's the thing that the millennials are always... luckily, I don't see it as much as I used to. But yeah, when you're young, you can grow your hair like there's nobody's business. Usually. Unless you're special, like moi. But there was a time up until, 20-something, where I could grow hair. And some of these people grow these hairs oh so long, and then make this thing on the top of their head. It's a man bun, isn't it? Okay. Ridiculous. So that's what I heard on NPR, and that's what I thought. When I heard this, I go, okay, maybe this is why I don't listen to NPR so much anymore, especially The World. But that's what they want. That's where the millennials, maybe, that's where they're going. Quite frankly, I'm embarrassed to say the name of this show. It's Mike's Daily Podcast, and I hate saying the word podcast now, because everybody does one, which is fine, which is exactly when I first started podcasting. If you can dig up the first podcast I did in 2009, you will hear me say, I'm so excited about podcasting because this gives the power of speech, of talking, of basically talk radio, what we once called talk radio, to the masses. It's not just the same host. Quite frankly, at the time, I was really PO'd about Sean Hannity. I've told the story ad infinitum about how I knew Sean back when he first got started in radio at UC Santa Barbara. And I was already on the radio. I actually had more radio experience than Sean Hannity at that point. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Oh, we are in Podcastro Valley. In fact, he was really nice to me and kind of looked up to me. He was kind of like, hey, oh, wow, so you work in radio? Oh, that's cool. I want to have my own talk show. And I thought, yeah, right, whatever. He was some scrawny kid. Actually, he's older than me, isn't he? And he goes, yeah, I'm going to do a talk show. Oh, okay. Well, we're on a station that has, like, no listeners because we were on the AM signal. And the only people that could hear us were the people at the dorms. Oh, I got some friends in the dorms who are going to call in. So he was enterprising even back then. And there I thought I was the big shot because I was already working at a commercial station, although I basically did 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that shift. If you're working that shift, I applaud you. Applause. Yeah, it's not easy. But so he apparently then did a show that got him some notoriety because he offended some lesbians that were listening that called up and yelled at him. And he sent that tape to Huntsville, Alabama, and he got a job there. Which then, ironically enough, I got a job, about 30 years later. No, it was 20. Was it? Yeah, I don't care. Who cares? Somewhere in 2007. So, the point is, I don't know, make your own point. Take a sharp object, and there you go. You've got your point. And here's what I'm saying is Katie Lang did a great album called Ingenue that had the song Constant Craving on it. It was a good album, speaking of lesbians, and it was awesome. And now I look at my CD rack here at Cafe Anyway, outside, which you should never store your CDs outside. What am I doing? I got to take these back inside, especially since it's supposed to rain tonight. And I got so many Katie Lang albums. How did that happen? I got Katie Lang All You Can Eat. Katie Lang, what's that one? Oh my God, she's got one called Drug? Uh-oh. What? By the way, I'm trying to get the CD out of the rack, but the rack is so weird. Here. Let's see, it's called... Oh, Drag. Gee, what a surprise. She came out with an album called Drag. And then, of course, Torch and Twang. That was one of her big... She got a bunch of awards for that. And for Ingenue. I had a little Katie Lang side bar to my podcast today. Everybody, click, do that thing with your tongue that I just did right now. Isn't that fun? That's great. And that's in some other language. That is a whole sentence. So is breathing really loudly. I guess what I'm saying is Thor Ragnarok really surprised the crap out of me. I watched it because my lovely lady friend was watching it, and I sat down and watched it with her, and you know what? I laughed my buns off. I laughed my man bun off. And I shouldn't be talking about that or about vampire. Why would I talk about vampire? Why did I write down vampires? Did we get on a topic about vampires earlier? Were we going to talk about vampires? I don't know. They're a thing. They're not going to go away. They can't because they're immortal. Poppies is what I was going to talk about. And that's the podcast picture today is of a poppy at the Richmond Marina, near the Richmond Marina. Basil the Boxer, when he and I used to walk very, very far, to the point that I practically could no longer walk anymore. I hurt my feet so bad. There was a time where it was very difficult for me to walk. And now it's difficult for Basil to walk. So it's come full circle. But he's doing quite well. He's fallen asleep now here at Cafe Anyway, where we have a lot of characters who have decided to stop by. Let's say hi to them now, shan't we? Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
It's Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
The rodeo in Castro Valley, Podcastro Valley, is coming up soon now.
That's right, it is. Look who else is here, pouring us some root beer.
Hello, Mark. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy. How's some? I'll cut you.
You know, it's the violent end to whatever you were saying to me that always gets me. Somebody said to me today, you know what differentiates a great business from a good business is the attention to detail. And right about the time she said that, I fell asleep. Oh, wait, Basil's getting up. Basil, did you have something to say? And I go, are you talking about perfection? She goes, no, perfection is self-death. And then I was like, okay, now you've got my attention again. Isn't that right, Basil? Isn't that fascinating, the way she... So, yes, I pay special attention to detail right now. The detail that I think we're going to wrap up the show. But here it is. Here's my big thing to you today. And Basil, feel free to chime in anytime, my friend. If you... No. Is this right? Is this here? Is this... Podcasting every day is not easy. Okay, that's all I had to say. Thank you. Yes, that's how we'll wrap it up, birds. Thank you, birds, for chiming in and helping me out on today's show. Don't judge Katie Lang. Don't be judgmental about her. Just enjoy her voice. I guess that's all I have to... She did put on an amazing show. I talked about this on my podcast recently where the power went out and she kept singing. Everybody went, shut up, she's singing. It was great. I really wish I knew what I was going to go into about vampires. Just, you know, they will at some point take over the world. Or is that the zombies? Whatever. Oh, but it is a poppy apocalypse. A pop-apocalypse. And that apparently is happening near Lake Elsinore. A bunch of poppies have popped up. It is, I think, our state flower here in California. And NPR did a story about that. That was, well, they're all over now. And the people are going up to take pictures, and they're parking and stomping on the poppies and killing the poppies. And it's like, get the hell out. You know what? Here's the thing. I posted that picture of a poppy today because the fact that they are everywhere in Northern California, in the Bay Area. It is a great idea. Don't forget about going to D.C. this time of year to see the cherry blossoms or whatever. Come to California and see our amazing poppies. They are all over the place. They are in the medians, in the middle of the street. As you drive down Crow Canyon or Coal Canyon, and it's Crow Canyon, in Castro Valley, Podcastro Valley, you will see lovely poppies. So I don't see the big deal. It's like avocado toast. Yeah, there's always been toast. There's always been avocado. What the hell? Why are you paying $15 for that? Makes no sense. But I don't have a millennial to defend the whole thing here. But millennials, you have no reason to defend yourself because you are young and you shall inherit the earth. Because us old people will die and vanish, and the attention to detail will go away. It'll be your turn to pay attention to detail. And not be... Will you be able to, is the question. With your oversaturated, overstimulated lifestyle. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe it'll just go back to the simple things, like poppies and avocado toast. And vampires. I don't know how, once again, how did that get back? How did it get... Is Katie Lang a vampire? Do we have answers to any of these questions? Was there a point to any of this podcast today? No. Oh, yeah, there was. You should go podcast. Do a better podcast than this one. Get out there and podcast is my story. Litter the internet with podcasts, just as I have done. All right, next show, it'll be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Thank you so much for listening. Ariel, take it away. Ooh, and here's where she's going to tell you where you can catch the podcast picture and all that stuff. Here it is.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!